Hi crafty friends, it's Justine Dvorak from Stationery by Justine, where when I craft, my world stands still. Today I have a fun card planned, although I have to say this week's parameters on Craft Roulette really threw me for a loop. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Craft Roulette is a card making game show that has weekly challenges, and they spin a wheel for different parameters and you get to make a card. So you can join if you want. It's free to join, and if you want to see the episode I was on, I will have it linked down in the description. But for this week's parameters, we need to have for our project a card for a nerd or a nerdy card. Colors need to be beach colors. Element has to have hip, and random was animal print. Yeah, it was a little odd, but I think I can make it work with some goodies that I had in my crafty area. So I'm going to first start off with this background. I batch watercolor backgrounds when I am feeling uninspired, and then when I am feeling inspired, like today, I can just pull from them and have them on hand. So I have this one where I used watercolor paper that was just some old cheapo paper that I really just was using up. And so it did get a little bit warped, but whatever, no big deal. But the watercolors that I used were from BB Cameron, and I do have a whole video on my channel where I did it and made backgrounds like this live. So if you're curious to see how I make them, I use the same products that I used to use, which are BB Camerons. And I think this was the color sepia. Now, something must have dripped from another project because I have this interesting color choice up here. I don't know. I'm going to call it a Bob Ross happy accident. So there's that. But this week was really fun. This was episode 283 from Craft Roulette, and Katarina was on from Germany, and she made a really fun pop-up card. So definitely go check it out. Mary made a hippo card for hip. I am going to... Actually, I'm going to draw on the background of this, then heat emboss, and then we'll put everything together. But isn't this little stamped image so cool? This is from Pajama Crafter Stamps. She's the Unstoppable Gal. I think she kind of reminds me of Joan of Arc, but I don't think it has to be specifically that. It could just be like a girl soldier. But I do think that the sentiments on here are very sweet. I really like the one that is from Ephesians. So we will move right along to my background. So I used to do nail art when I was in high school, and I loved doing a cheetah print nail because it was the thing to do in the day. So because I'm using watercolor paper, I don't want to use my Copic markers because it's going to draw fluid from my marker, and I don't want to use my good markers on my watercolor paper. So what I'm going to do is just make blobs. And this is way easier with blobby nail polish. And this is going to look really weird. So just, you got to trust the process. Okay. This is burnt orange. These are just some like cheapo alcohol markers. They're not the best, but I like using them for laying down a lot of color with the chisel tip, but the other side is this fine tip. It's good, not great, you know? I like the brush part about Copic markers for blending purposes, but that's all right. Okay, I need some blobs up here, and then I hate to cover that up. I'll do a little one. Like I said, this is going to look like a chocolate chip cookie before it gets better. So just hang in there with me. Oh, there's the train. Okay, and then I'm going to do a lighter brown kind of around it. Hopefully it turns out a little lighter. I don't know. I'm not as familiar with these markers. Neutral oak. Sure. Today when I'm filming this was technically day 1 of kindergarten, and somehow I still have energy. But knowing I could come home to craft Roulette and my husband definitely made the day much, much easier. Okay, now that I have my brown down, all you do now is take a black and you make 2 to 4 blobs around each brown blob. I hope this actually looks like cheetah print when I'm finished. Otherwise, it's just going to look like odd texture. I think it's working. Is it working? I don't know. I think it's working. Okay, I shouldn't do 3 on all of them. I'll do 4. Like I said, these do not need to be perfect. And this chisel tip is slightly annoying me, but we're just going to go with it. Because art, you know? Hopefully that squeaking sound is not annoying you as much as it is annoying me. Okay, ta-da, cheetah print done. Now I'm going to stamp over this with some heat embossing techniques. Yeah, I think heat embossing would look nice. I think I'm going to use gold. I haven't used gold embossing powder in years. Just kidding, not years. This is a lovely bouquet from Pajama Crafter Stamps. This is one of my favorite background stamps for florals. It's just a really lovely bouquet. Haha. And I'm going to set it kind of off to the side down here. I am going to use this peekaboo die from Pajama Crafter Stamps as well. And I think just a little bit like that showing would be really nice. It's not going to be the focal point of this project, but it's just adding the texture and the shine because we're going to use that gold embossing powder. And I think I'm going to use I'm going to use two different layers of the stamp because I think it'll look nice when it's not just on one section. So I'm just using clear VersaFine or Versamark ink. I really need to re-ink this. I haven't re-inked it in a long time, but today's not the day to do that. I am going to use an anti-static tool. It has a little clay in there. Helps things not to stick where I don't want them to. Although on kind of like a grungy project, or what's the nice way to say grungy project? I don't know. An artful project. Having gold flecks where I didn't intend them to be isn't probably the biggest deal in the world. Okay, I'm going to trust that that was a good enough stamp and I don't need to do it twice. And if it turns out weird, we're just going to call it grunge. And I'm going to go crazy and not secure my background down and stamp the second background and hope for the best. Again, whatever sticks to the stamp will stick to the stamp. It's going to be fine. I'm going to go right over that cheetah print that we just did. Hopefully it doesn't get lost in the sauce. But you know, it's on the project and that is all it needs to be for Craft Roulette. Okay, gold embossing powder. Shockingly enough, it was not far away. Mainly because my clear and white typically live on top of it. Okay. So for heat embossing, I like to keep mine in these little containers. If you've watched my videos on my channel, you probably know that already. But I do find it helpful for storage and for quick little moments like this. And then sometimes I have paper like this that is a little stiffer. And so I keep this little spoon that I got from IKEA years ago in my craft room. It's my crafting spoon. I must not have stamped or gotten ink on that spot of the flower, but I think it's going to be fine. It'll be grunge. I'm sure whoever's in the comments writing it's not grunge Sorry, it's something else. Okay, I'm going to mute the audio for this part of the video just so you don't hear this heat gun, but I will leave the view so you can see it melt because it's kind of magical. Isn't that gorgeous? I should really use gold embossing powder more often. Okay, so this card piece, or this piece of watercolor paper, has been cut down to 4 and 5 1/4, and I have this patterned paper, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is an A2 sized piece of cardstock. So that will just kind of layer on. I know a lot of that pretty cardstock is getting covered up, but it's just the thought that counts for this one. And then this pattern paper is from this pattern paper pack from scrapbook.com called Woodland. It's a really cool one. I do love it. So I'm going to be pretty generous with my gluing here. So if you see a bunch of glue blobs, don't be alarmed. It's going to be fine. And then I'm going to stick it underneath my magnet or my cutting mat because it's a little bit heavy. I have the Impress or however you want to say it, cutting mat, and it just helps keep everything nice and straight. It doesn't have to be a little wonky because it just gets warped with using a lot of water. The last time I did the whole watercolor background thing, I did throw in some coarse sea salt and I got interesting results with that. Let's see, I can actually reach them. I'll show you. Okay, I have to show you my favorite one first because look at that. Isn't that cool? Team Rainbow. But the salt kind of is wherever it's that kind of muddled or speckled area. I just really love them. I did a whole bunch of these brown ones and it ended up purple, which is fine. I love this green. It's gorgeous. And this pink and this purple. I think this is really just like the purple. There's indigo. There's a whole bunch of colors, but this is the one that's called purple. That is so gorgeous. Get right out of here. Anyway, these are just a few of them. Like I said, I kind of go on like a crafty, creative moment. And then I just tell my husband, just careful where you step, dear. Because they're everywhere. I just wanted to mention this peekaboo die is on sale on Pajama Crafter Stamps as of Friday when I am filming this video, Friday night. So do with that with what you will. It's been on their website for quite some time. I think when I first got this die, it was part of my original design team package, which came a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. Insane. How has time gone so quickly? I don't know, Margot. Okay, I'm going to put this little sign down here, and then I'm going to just pull this up right around the side. You might be wondering what is with the sentiment. This is from the flashcard pack from Pajama Crafter Stamps that's called Gamers Gonna Game. And it's great for people who have who have nerds in their life, if you will, which I thought was perfect for the card for a nerd. But side quests are part of a it's a nerd thing. I don't know, but it's also like a distracted person thing, I think. And that's kind of how I feel sometimes doing a side quest. I'll start doing one thing and do something else and totally forget the first thing. Let me know if you do the same thing because I feel like it's normal, but it doesn't feel normal. Anyway, I'm going to put the other piece up here so it kind of looks like it was meant to be. By the way, this color paper is the back of this patterned paper. So I thought that that would be an easy way to find paper that matches. And brown apparently is super trendy and has been for like a year. Who knows? Maybe I'm now late to the trend, but I know brown is like the thing. The Pantone color of the year. I think last year was like a mocha color. So, yay brown. I'm not a brown person, but I'm liking this card. The teal and the gold is saving it for me. And the high school Justine that of my past is happy that I'm using my leopard print skills from my nail art. Okay, that little piece will go right over here. If you've never used the flashcards from Pajama Crafter Stamps, they're really easy to use. You can foil them. You can just use them as they are. Like here, I've just gone ahead and die cut out the sentiment area. You can Copic color on them. I am going to have a video in either at the end of September or early October where I make 2 sympathy cards in under 10 minutes with the flashcards. So just know that those are coming. They're so easy to use and they're very cost effective as well. And sometimes you just don't feel like stamping, but you want to color. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Some days I don't want to color at all and I just want to play with paper. So something for all the moods, you know. So I'll just add a little bit of foam to this panel just so it pops up and makes it look a little more interesting than if it was flat. So as they say, that dimension makes the card look alive. Acting like Dr. Frankenstein in here. I'll just put this down at the bottom. So yes, how did I do with the parameters? Let's go over that as I finish. Project Card for a Nerd. That is with the side quest thing and with my little soldier gal. Colors were beachy or beach, and I have the sand color and those teal colors. That's kind of like beachy. I think I got that. And then let's see what else. Element hip. Well, my soldier gal has a hip. Actually, she has 2 hips. You would have been giggling. I was in my craft room before I decided on using this stamp specifically. I had a bird stamp and I had a turtle stamp, and I was saying HEYSIRI. Do birds have hips? Do turtles have hips? And when I asked the one that starts with an S, SIRI, when I asked her if birds have hips, she went into this whole thing. Yes, they do. And then I asked turtles, and apparently turtles' hips are located in their shells. Not that anyone needed to know that right now, but we're going to nerd out over about turtles apparently. Okay, I added foam behind the top part of the stamped image here just so it laid flat, and then glued her little boots down. I Copic colored her off camera as I was finishing watching Craft Roulette here tonight. But if you have any questions about coloring her, I've used quite a lot of markers on coloring her today. For her armor, I used Copic colors. What? I thought I had one more. I think I used oh, here it is. C6, C5, C2. And then for her hearts, I used these RVs with the C6 over it, and it kind of turned purple, which I liked. For her skin and cheeks, I used these 3. Barely Beige, Cotton Pearl, and Blush. E11, E00, R20. And then for her eyes, I used B39, B26, B05. And her eyes, the way that this was drawn, it is so easy to make her eyes look stunning because of how Michelle drew them. Okay, and then her hair, I used these 4 colors, and then I did finish her eyes and everything with a white gel pen. But I have YR YR24, YR14, Y18, and Y00. And then, of course, I've got my colorless blenders for when I go out of the lines. But other than that, that is what I used. Okay, I'm going to finish this off with some embellishments. These are just from my stash. They are Mother of Pearl from Pink and Maine. These came in a card kit that I got last December, but I'm pretty sure they're still available. But these are just so gorgeous because they have blue and pink and purple and white tones to them. And they really catch the light. And I think I'm going to do 3 there. Maybe a couple by her bun, just for funsies. And then maybe some down on the bottom right. I don't know. I just want them to be like extra little sparklies to catch the light. Nothing crazy. And now you can notice my project is warping a little bit. It's fine because it's just the watercolor paper. But when I put it on a card base, I notice that if it is warping, when it goes on the card base, it does lay a little bit more evenly. But that's the project. What do you think? Let me know in the comments what you think about this one, and be sure to check out Craft Roulette. They have a fantastic website that's really easy to use, and it's so fun to try the challenges each week. So also check out Pajama Crafter Stamps. I will have a link in the description for grabbing some of their goodies, and everything I used on this project today I will have linked down below. So thank you for watching. Bye, crafty friend.